You are listening to the Becoming the Wealthy You podcast with Jermaine Foley. If you're a woman who makes good money in your career or business, but you're not building wealth like you want to, then you're in the right place. In this podcast, you'll learn how to stop overspending, break free from the cycle of debt, save lots of cash, and become the wealthy woman you were born to be. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Okay, so today I want to talk about something that is probably happening for a lot of you right now. We're about halfway through the year, and this is the time where a lot of people start to realize that they have completely fallen off and forgotten about their financial goals that they set at the beginning of the year. Maybe at the beginning of the year, your goal was to save a certain amount of money. Maybe you wanted $10K in the bank by the end of the year or $20K or more. Maybe you decided you were going to stop impulsively spending. Maybe you were going to finally get out of credit card debt and stay out, and you were just going to get really serious about building wealth, right? You were going to get serious about having money, keeping money in your life, and just being better with your money. And maybe when you first started, you felt really motivated. You had that fresh start energy. You were excited, focused, and just ready to do things differently. And then inevitably, life started lifing. You got busy, work became overwhelming, the kids needed things, expenses came up that you weren't anticipating, and maybe you had a few weeks where you just kind of spent more than you planned, and then you just stopped. You stopped looking, you started avoiding, and now you're just like, oh my gosh, we're halfway through the year and I'm right where I started. And if that's you, I want you to keep listening because we're going to talk about what's actually happening underneath the surface. A lot of times we just start beating ourselves up and we say, see, I don't have any discipline. I'm just bad with money. I have no self-control. But there are some other things that could be going on, and I want to explore those with you today. Because one of the patterns I see all the time is that we wait until we feel motivated to get back on track with our money, right? We wait until we feel inspired. We wait until we feel ready. We wait until next Monday or next month or after the vacation or when the kids go back to school. Or some of us, we wait until next year. We wait until the new year, right? And when you really look at it, all of those things have something in common. It's you waiting for a fresh start moment, right? A fresh start moment on the calendar that makes it feel easier to begin again. And I get it. Fresh starts are very, very powerful. And there's something about a new year, a new month, a birthday, a new season, even a Monday that can help us feel like we have a clean slate. And there's actually a name for it. It's called the fresh start effect. And it can be really, really helpful because sometimes a date on the calendar just gives your brain that little boost it needs to get going. What a fresh start actually does is helps you separate who you have been to who you want to become. So it's like you get to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, starting this year or starting this week or starting this month or starting this year as I turn 40 or 50 or whatever your birthday is, you feel like you can just give yourself that clean slate and fresh start. And like I said, it can be really, really useful. But the problem is not the fresh start itself. The problem is when you start believing that you need a fresh start in order to begin again. Because honestly, this is where we start to see the fresh start effect working against us, right? When we fall off track financially and instead of simply getting back in motion, we subconsciously tell ourselves we need to wait until the next clean slate, right? We think I'll start again on Monday or I'll get back on track next month. I'll deal with this after things settle down, right? I'll wait until I feel motivated again. But here's the problem. While you're waiting for the next fresh start, your credit card balances are still growing. Your savings are decreasing or not where you want them to be. Your emotional spending might be running rampant and you're just avoiding your money. And when you do that long enough, it gets easier and easier to do. And the longer you wait, the harder it feels to start again. So what may have started as one money mishap, that can turn into weeks or months of being off track. And if you're used to waiting for motivation or to have that fresh start, your brain will tell you that you need to wait until one comes up or until you feel that rush of motivation before you can begin again. And I want to offer you something different today. You do not need a date on the calendar to create a fresh start. You can literally create a fresh start anytime. You could create one on a random Tuesday. You could create one in the middle of the month after an expensive weekend, after you've overspent. You can create one after you avoided your money for weeks. You could create one today, because a fresh start is not a date on the calendar. It's just a decision, right? And the moment you say, I'm not going to keep letting the fact that I got off track as a reason to stay off track. And I want you to know that's available to you at any time. You can draw the line in the sand at any time, no matter what the date is on the calendar. And this is important because so many women wait for that fresh start or motivation, right? And a lot of times I hear my clients say, I'm just not motivated. I'm just not motivated. And one of the things I offer them is that we think that motivation is what gets us in motion. But I would offer this. Motion, getting in motion, actually helps you to create motivation, okay? So when you feel like, I'll look at my numbers when I'm motivated, I'll make the plan when I'm motivated, I'll stop overspending when I feel motivated, I'll get serious about getting out of debt and saving again when I feel motivated. I want to offer that you don't need to wait until you feel motivated. You need to get in motion, taking one step at a time, and then the next step. And then that, my friend, is going to create the motivation. Have you ever dreaded doing something? And then maybe it's for work, or maybe it's a project at work, or something you have to do at the house. Maybe it's decluttering, whatever it is, right? You just dread it. You don't feel motivated, but something, maybe there's a deadline or something has to get done. And so you just start working. You just get in motion. And before you know it, you feel motivated. You're in momentum. You're going. You're not thinking about not feeling motivated anymore because you're just in motion. And that motion helps you to get motivated. It breeds the motivation. So it's like that chicken and egg philosophy. Oh, I need to feel motivated to get in motion. Or does getting in motion helps you to feel motivated? Like it could go either way, right? I do believe that you can generate motivation by thinking thoughts that are motivating. But if you can't get there, just start moving. Just start doing something. Maybe it's opening up your app. Maybe it's checking in on what you've been spending over the last few weeks. Maybe it's, transferring some money into savings. Just do something. And then once you take that first step, then you'll feel motivated to take another step and another step. And before you know it, you're back on track. Because here's the thing. If you always are waiting for either a date on the calendar or to feel motivated, then your financial well-being is really dependent on something outside of you. And we never want our financial well-being to be dependent on anything or anyone but us, right? So you can create your fresh start. You can create your motivation, right? Because some days, they're hard, but if you just commit and be like, no, this is just who I am. I'm getting emotion. I don't need to wait for motivation. I just am the kind of woman who takes care of the business, right? I don't wait for a date on the calendar. I don't wait till the beginning of the year. I don't wait until I feel motivated. I do this because I know it's what's best for me. And here's one last thing I want to offer you. One of the reasons it can really feel hard to get back on track, let's say you've been off track and you're just like, oh, I just really need to get myself back on track. One of the reasons why it feels so hard sometimes is because we think we need to start all over. We need to start from the beginning, right? You think that, okay, if I'm going to get back on track, I need to sit down and redo everything. I need to figure out the whole plan. I need to catch up on the last 6 months, or I need to know exactly what went wrong and what I need to fix. I need this whole system. I need a budgeting calendar. I need a budgeting planner. I need this and I need that. But what if none of that was true? So what if instead of needing this huge redo or reset, what if you just needed a re-entry? Not a full restart, just a simple re-entry where you say, where am I now? What's one thing I need to look at? What's one decision that I can make today to support where I want to go? That's very different from starting over, right? So instead of going all the way back to point A, you can just re-enter where you left off. Maybe that was point E, right? Just start there. Just get back on track. You do not have to go all the way back to the starting line. You can just get back on track, right where you are now, right? And that's so very different from starting over. Starting over often comes from shame. Reentry, however, comes from ownership. Starting over says, I messed up. Now I have to begin from zero. Reentry says, I got off track. Now I'm coming back and I'm picking up where I left off. That's the difference. That's a big difference, you guys. Because when you believe you have to start over every time you make a mistake, every time you have a mishap, every time you fall off track, because you're human, this is going to happen often. It happens for me still. And if every time you get off track, you feel like you got to start from the beginning, that's exhausting. Why? Because it feels like you're always going back to the beginning. But when you learn how to just re-enter, you start building trust with yourself again. You start becoming the woman who can get off track and just simply get back on track. You start becoming the woman who doesn't need the perfect date on the calendar, the perfect mood, or the perfect amount of motivation to take the next step. And that is a very different relationship that you'll start having with money, because the goal is not to become someone who never gets off track. Like I said, I get off track at least a couple times a year, right? But what I'm really good at is getting up, dusting myself off, looking at, okay, what went wrong? What went well? What do I want to do differently next time, right? I don't just ignore what happened. I really look at it, like analyze it, like, okay, what happened? How did I do that? Okay, note taken. Now in the future, I know how to do it differently, right? Because like I said, the goal is not to become someone who never gets off track. That's trying to be perfect. And we know that perfection is a fallacy. It's not something that's real. It's not something we can ever achieve. So why even try? Like, you can be really, really good financially. You can build wealth. You can get out of debt. You can save. You can have money. You can have plenty of money, plenty of peace of mind, financial security, and not be perfect. Who knew? Right? And so listen, if you are someone who knows that you had big goals, you really felt motivated at the beginning of the year, you were just like, this is going to be my year, and now it's June, I want you to know it's not too late. And you literally can start again today by just re-entering. You don't need to start from square one. You don't need to create this big plan. You don't need to dissect 6 months of behaviors. You just need to get back on track and say, okay, what derailed me? Okay, I see what happened. Let me keep it moving and let's go. And I'll be honest, this is hard to do on your own, right? If you're by yourself, no accountability partner, no support, no frameworks, nothing to keep you going when life happens, I get how it can be hard. And that's exactly why I offer private one-to-one money coaching for women who are done starting over, women who are done constantly getting off track and not getting back on track fast enough, right? Because when you get off track, it's not just the one expense that it cost you. It cost you the momentum that you had, right? So let's say you had an unexpected expense and that kind of derailed you. So it didn't just cost you that one expense. It cost you all the time that you spent off track, all the time you spent overspending, all the time you spent letting the debt accumulate, right? So it's expensive not to know how to get back on track after you have a mishap. Mishaps are going to continue to happen. Life is going to continue to happen. I don't know how to stop it, and no one else does either. So the best plan of action for you is to know how to handle life, to know how to not let it derail you and keep you from doing the things you want to do, right? When you get knocked down, you just get back up. It creates that resilience. That is what I love to help my clients do inside of private one-to-one money coaching. And so if you see yourself in this, if you're someone who's like, okay, I did start off the year, I had goals, and now I kind of forgot all about them, and I feel like this is how it happens every year, and you want support, you want structure, you want a system that doesn't rely on motivation to work. That's one of the beautiful things that I help my clients create, a system for their money that actually doesn't require them to feel motivated to get it done, right? A saving system, a debt payoff system, a spending system that doesn't require you to feel on point in order for it to work smoothly. And if that's something you want, if that's something you need, if you see yourself in what I'm saying today, then I invite you to book a one-to-one private money coaching consultation. During the consultation, we'll look at where you are, where you want to go, and how I can help you to get there. And you can book that by going to jermainefoley.com/consult. That's Jermaine with a G, right? And if you're listening to this Don't let nervousness or embarrassment stop you, right? Because I know some of you, you're listening, you're in your late 30s, you're in your 40s or 50s, and you're just like, I can't believe I'm here, right? I should be so much further along by now. And the longer you wait, the longer you wait. And if you have that nudge to say, you know what, I should book that call. You know what, I should talk to Jermaine. Listen to that. Listen to that. There will be no pressure on the call. There will be no judgment. I always say it. I was the worst with money. I've made all the money mistakes. And so if I can change my life, then you can too. It just starts with the decision, right? And remember, you don't need to be perfect at this, but if every time you get off track, you find yourself off track for way longer than you want to be, then private money coaching could be the thing that changes that for you, that keeps you on track, that keeps you moving no matter what. And if you would like support, go ahead and book your call by going to jermainefoley.com/consult. That's Jermaine with the G, or you can visit the show notes and click the link there. And I can't wait to meet you. All right, I will see you next week. Bye-bye. Hey, if money is the one area of life you just can't seem to figure out, even though you make good money, you're not alone. That's why you're invited to book a complimentary one-to-one money consultation with me so that we can figure out how to solve your biggest money challenges. To sign up, simply go to jermainefoley.com/consult or check out the show notes. Hope to meet you soon.